Underground dialogue. We gon' tell the truth. We ain't scared like a lot of y'all. Matters who they are. Do we bow? No. Not at all. Dropping bombs on this wicked world, so it gotta fall. Underground dialogue. We gon' tell the truth. We ain't scared like a lot of y'all. Matters who they are. Do we bow? No. Not at all. Dropping bombs on this wicked world, so it gotta fall. From the industry to the Oval Office, we expose the darkest motives of them all and disclose what the protocol is. Thinking and moving logical, stopping every maneuver possible, and apologizing for truth is not optional. We gon' help you with what you go through, reshape and mold you, and sweep over them weak lies they told you. If you living with no clue, we gon' deprogram the old you, and you
what
get
up,
to
man?
keep your soul
It's your big
too.
brother K Reno.
It's your boy Key Stove.
And y'all are tuned in again to another episode of the Underground Dialogue Podcast, where the name speaks for itself. And tonight, we in the classroom tonight.
Yeah.
Because typically when we refer to the legend seat, which is this seat in between us, you know, it's usually rappers sitting in the legend seat. But I can say with all honesty and sincerity that this brother sitting in the middle is an absolute legend himself. He's a giant and a legend in the conscious community. He's a giant and a soldier for our people. And for all people, if you understand, I've been knowing this man since 1992, so I've been knowing him 35 years, and he's been the most consistent. And one thing that he taught me, he said, the best title that you can give me is the title of brother. And he's exemplified that over the years. He's been a brother to me and to everybody that he's come across in his work in the Nation of Islam. And he's a father, he's a husband, and he's followed great leadership, which made him a follower of great leaders, which turned him into a leader. And then he did what all great leaders done. He made other leaders. So now he's a brother, a soldier, a leader, and a leader maker. The one and only.
He was rapping earlier. Part-time.
The one and only, my brother from another.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Abdul Haleem Muhammad, the Southwest Student Regional Minister of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. How you feeling, big brother?
Oh, praises due to Allah. Thank you, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum
Peace be unto
salam.
you and to your viewing audience. And I'm honored to be here, Brother K. Reno. That's quite an introduction I have to live up to.
Oh man, no, brother, that's just reality. You know, it's introducing to some and presenting to others, but you know, that's the reality, and it wasn't even long enough, bro. You know what you've meant to me over the years. So it's long overdue because we've been doing this 2 years. So to finally get you in here to just give us what we need, you know, the honor is all ours, big brother.
Yes, sir. And you've been here without knowing you've been here.
Oh, man.
He's been speaking your words and teachings the whole time.
No question about it. You know, your name comes up a lot in interviews, and your words come out of my mouth a lot as well, as you know. So, you know, through the music and just through having this platform. So big brother, what's been going on, brother? And we'll let you go in terms of why you're here and what's on your heart to give to us.
Well, first and foremost, brother, you know, this is a season of repentance and atonement. And I can tell you, brother, I just left the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan just on May the 11th. We went up to observe and celebrate his 92nd birth anniversary, and also the day that they call Mother's Day, to honor Mother Khadija Farrakhan, who has been with him at his right side and his hand all of these years. She's the mother of the faithful and the nation. So we went up, my wife and I, and we went up to observe and celebrate that. That's something that really sticks in my mind because I met Minister Farrakhan when I was 19 years old. I was a college student, sophomore at Hampton. It's called Hampton University now. It was Hampton Institute when I went there. Mm-hmm. And I spent 2 days with him, brother, and it impacted my life. It changed the trajectory of my life. It's like you meet a man of Mr. Farrakhan's stature, right? And here's how it go. You know, it kind of like the way you're introducing me, like I'm just a brother, right? So he left Hampton, and, you know, that summer I'd go back to New York because I was originally from New York and New Jersey. So I'd go to New York and I'd stay with my sister, my brother, my auntie, and those who still lived in the city. And so I went down to the Apollo Theater. and Minister Farrakhan had gave a speech at the Urban League. He walks out the front of the Apollo Theater, right on 125th Street, right? And I see him. I said, "Hey, Brother Minister, assalamu alaikum." He said, "Wa alaikum salam, Brother Robert."
Wow.
He remembered me. That sealed the deal, brother.
Yeah.
And I didn't see him again until 1984. Of course, I moved here in Houston in 1980. My wife, Sister Natalie, she made me move to Texas. At that time, the warrant ads, the warrant ads in the Chronicle and the Houston Post were so thick. They were thicker than the Sunday New York Times with all of its advertising in it. So there was jobs galore when I came here. In fact, I lived in this area that, in fact, I lived right around the corner.
Man, somebody,
We had a dollar for every time.
everybody come through, they got some connection to this area. Okay,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, right around the corner. In fact, the job I had, that transfer, is right down the street on Bissonnette that I transferred from my job in New Jersey to here.
Wow.
Again, you know, I've been in this city since 1980, as I said, brother, and I am in love with H-Town, man. I'm in love with H-Town. I'm a lifelong New York Mets and New York Knicks fan, right? Because where I lived in New York is Washington Heights. Right. Washington Heights Harlem is down. Washington Heights is where George Washington set up his headquarters for the Battle of Harlem, so it's called Washington Heights. But I lived in Washington Heights, right? It's the Washington Heights, Sugar Hill, and Harlem. And the Rucker is down there, right? Across the bridge was the Yankee Stadium. But anyway, when you lived in Washington Heights, you lived over the Polo Ground. That's where the Mets started. So, you know, I'm a lifelong Met fan. I never kind of cared for the Yankees.
Yeah.
But, you know, but that's that. And then, of course, a lifelong Knick fan, because living in New York, that was in the heyday of Knick ball, where they won the championship in 70 and 73, right? Okay. So, but I come to Houston, so I love this city so much, man. You probably catch me wearing a Met hat and an Astro shirt, you know, or you know, or a Knicks shirt and a Rockets hat, you know, because that's how much I'm in love with this city. Because I've been here longer. I've been in Texas and in Houston longer than I've been anywhere else on the planet. I love this city, brother. It is. I've met people like yourself and others, and I try to be a brother, as you said, to as many as possible. So this isn't you know, beneath me to come on here with some hip hoppers. You know, this is not beneath me. You know how I am as it relates to you know, South Park Coalition or the Artist Respecting Community and just that, you know, and this is the underground dialogue.
That's right.
So you don't have to be some major star that has, you know, all of that, and just be an honest brother and sister that's trying to communicate the art in the way that they do. And as I said before, I always tell you all, keep it street, but at the same time, raise the people's consciousness.
That's right.
You know, you got to put something on your album that's telling the people to do something that's right for self, even though you know you do what you do. I don't. You know.
I think the nation was the catalyst in hip hop for that, for rappers implementing conscious, even if it's just one song, because you go back to the Public Enemies and the Boogie Down Productions and the X-Clans and all that. But I tell this story all the time. Mr. Farrakhan's name, I heard his name for the first time. I heard Chuck D say it, you know, and I didn't know what he was saying. He was saying, follower of, I'm like, what is he saying? I ain't what he was saying, Farrakhan. So that was the first early introductions I heard to that name. So I give the nation a lot of credit. And then, like I said, coming into the mosque when the mosque was on Cullen, seeing Robert Muhammad at that time just coming out, and I was like, okay, now what's going on? I didn't make the connection between Minister Farrakhan and what you were doing at the mosque. I didn't make the connection. Somebody just invited me, hey man, come listen to the Black Power dudes. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it was. And I've been rocking ever since, bro.
Yeah, that you know, you have been a staple at Mosque 45. You and others, brother.
Yeah, Nip,
Nip, and you know,
Cliche, no doubt.
You know, and Ronnie, you know, Murder One,
Ronnie,
know, and different ones, you know, have come through and been impacted and affected by our work, you know. But we give the praise to Allah. All praise is due to Allah, and it's the teachings of Honorable Elijah Muhammad. that you will find in those X-Clans, and you'll find in all of those early hip hop, particularly from the East Coast. You'll find a lot of that because of the 5%, the 5%ers, Earth and God's influence in there that comes out of the lessons of the Nation of Islam, of course. And of course, Minister Farrakhan, again, we think about it, I always talk about how in my era, because I like that 60s, 70s music, because that's what I grew up with. Yeah. But I talked about at a certain point in time, we got disconnected, we got discouraged, and we got discombobulated, and that's when disco came in. Good times, these are the good times, leave your cares behind,
Yeah.
And we got tired, and then there was always, whenever we make progress, brother, there's a blowback, there's a pushback, right? We were so-called freed and emancipated. We had about 12 years during Reconstruction, right? And then they did a deal on us on February 26, 1877 at the Wormley Hotel. They cut a deal to make Rutherford B. Hayes the 19th president of the United States. And there was a so-called rigged election then, back then in 1876. And they fixed it in Congress where he would get the necessary votes, electoral votes, to be elected president. But the deal was that they would withdraw the federal troops from the South and end the military occupation of the South. So that's when Jim Crow began. We were just put right back into that. And so we went nearly 100 years of second-class citizenship. Then the Civil Rights Movement came, right? And we got the Civil Rights Act of 64, the Voting Rights Act of 65, the Fair Housing Act of 68, and all these other things came along. EPA was created by Nixon. Whole bunch of other things came about, right? Mm-hmm. But then there was a pushback after that, of course, because now you got what? You had the Reagan Revolution, right? And then we went on, we went through a trickle-down economics that didn't trickle down. Right? and then, of course, now we had Barack Obama, and he, we were like, wow, man, change you can believe in, hope. And we thought we was in the land of racial reconciliation and all that. Man, we elected a black president. Wow. Yeah. And then what?
It's a rainbow revolution.
Yeah. So what happened? Another blowback when you got Mr. Trump. Right? And I'm very respectful of the president. I'm going to say some things today, but our people have to understand, brother, what it is that we have to do. Well, so now here we are. Here we are in 2025. And the question is, as Mr. Farrakhan asked back in 2020, what are you going to do if Mr. Trump is reelected? Right. He told us in 2020 Trump would be the last president.
Man, he sure
what
did.
Does that mean?
I bear with
What does that mean, the last president? The White House going to just disappear or something like that? No. As we've understood the presidency and the three branches of government, he is absolutely exposing the fact that most of what we thought was actually in law or policy really was a handshake and a wink and just was understood. He is testing the limits of everything in the Constitution. He's showing you how to wield power. He's wielding power. It may not be it's not necessarily in our benefit, but then again, it is. Because at a certain point in time, brother, we have to understand that, we are the people in the scripture.
That's right.
We are the children of Israel. We are those Hebrew boys in the book of Daniel. We are the lost sheep that Jesus spoke about. That's who we are, brother. So once we come to grips with the fact that, we're that people that fulfill what's written in the scriptures, then we have to understand that there's going to be a king, a Pharaoh, a Nebuchadnezzar, a Belshazzar. There's going to be that. There's going to be a Caesar. There's going to be all of that. And we're going to play, all of those roles are going to play out. And we're in that season right now of fulfillment. Right. One thing is prophecy. Another thing is fulfillment. Right. We're in the fulfillment. So I ask any preacher, I ask any rabbi, any imam, where is the United States of America by name in Bible or Holy Quran? By name. Come on. You can't find it. What is in Revelation talk about the mystery Babylon? Right. Who is the mystery Babylon? Where is the mystery Babylon?
Why is it a
mystery?
mystery?
Who is the greatest economic, political, social, and cultural power on the planet? If it's not America, then who is? Right? So what we're watching right now is something that is absolutely, in one sense, what I'm saying is that we have been the ward of the federal government off and on since so-called emancipation. The federal government's kind of looked out for us. And now we have somebody in the White House, like Pharaoh, that has decided that I'm going to let y'all go.
Yeah.
I'm cut back on everything, and I'm going to protect my people. And guess what? Farrakhan let us go, and his brother Nuri says, you know, by time for us to let Pharaoh go.
Come on.
So this is why I'm here, brother. Minister Farrakhan came here in the early 90s when we were fighting to save the life of Shaka Sankofa, Gary Graham, who's on death row. And we were at the airport. We picked him up, and it's now Bush, but it was Intercontinental Airport at the time. We went to the wrong terminal, and we got a call on the radio. Where are y'all? So we shot over to the terminal, got him, came in, and he sat in the car. He was calm, but he reminded me. He said, brother, I've come down here to help this brother save this brother's life. And he said to me, I want to remind you that Dr. King came to Memphis for the garbage workers, and that's when he was assassinated. And he said these words to me. He said, brother, I want you always to remember that disorganized love can be overcome by organized hate.
Wow.
So I'm on this show, brother, in the spirit of repentance and atonement, man, and recommitment to this great city that's given me and my family so much, and to the streets and the sweets that have given my family and me and the nation. Mosque 45 is one of the progressive mosques in the nation. I want to give back. Right. So I'm giving back and coming on this show, and I'm not going to stop, you know, till I help our people, because our people have to be organized. Right. This is the problem. Minister Farrakhan has taught us, brother, the difference between a category 5 hurricane and just a rainstorm, right? A tropical depression that they call it, right? Is this level of organization. Right. We're not powerful because we're not organized. Yeah. We're not organized. And I'm afraid, not afraid, no, fear nothing but Allah. I'm concerned for our people, because we're entered into hurricane season. And right now, we don't seem to keep our eye on the prize, and the fact that FEMA's being dismantled, it's being cut. They're pushing the responsibilities down on this to the states, right? The National Oceanic Atmospheric Agency, which is called NOAA, has been losing people. They've ill-affected the National Weather Service that kind of warns us that these things are happening. They've lost hundreds of people. This thing is, him and Elon Musk has gone in and really just went in with, like he said, with a chainsaw in the government. And this is why they got problems with the FAA, and they got problems with the air traffic controllers. They're trying to stop, they're going to pay a 20% bonus. I read the news, to air traffic controllers to keep them from early retirement, because people have been quitting. They just quitting. They running them off. They quit tens of thousands of people. Want to cut out the Department of Education, all of this stuff. So what we've been dependent on, right? SNAP, for instance, the Supplemental Nutrition Program, right? Agricultural program, right? They're cutting back on that. They're cutting back on Medicaid. They're cutting back, brother. So the things that the least of us depend on, and the thing that's interesting is just as Black people, it's Caucasian people too.
And this is all through Doge. Am I correct?
Well, part of it is Doge.
Okay.
Much of the people getting fired and trying to identify
federal workers,
fraud, waste, and whatever. Anyway, you know, they're trying to weed out fraud, waste, and abuse. You know, right. But yet you give them in this budget that they just passed in the House, they got $1 trillion to the Pentagon, $1 trillion, and they haven't passed an audit in decades.
Wow.
So you want to waste, fraud, and abuse? You want to cut poor people's stuff, but now you want to feed the military-industrial complex. All right. So there's a lot going on, beloved, that we obviously are not prepared for. Right there, we're looking at this thing called Project 2025, right? And this Project 2025, the Heritage Society and those conservatives, they went quietly. They didn't say nothing. They went quietly. They didn't tell you I was going to do that. They just went, put it together, got their experts together, what they're going to do. Everything that's happening right now is written in that Project 2025. And then they put in place what they needed to execute it.
Yeah.
And they execute it right now.
They're like a new world order.
Well, to me, it's an old world order, because
this has been the mindset all the way.
Yeah, they're trying to hold on to the old world. You talk about make America great again. What does that mean? When was America great for us?
Yeah.
When was America great for the poor? When was America great for people of color? When was America great for women? I mean, come on.
Yeah, great is a code word.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, so I'm like this, brother, you know, at this stage in my life, I ain't even mad at him. I would be angry with myself for not telling our people that we need to get organized.
Right.
See, we have to organize. And operational unity, man, is unity without uniformity.
That's right.
That doesn't mean we wear the same uniform. You hip hopper. I mean, this is right. This is my uniform.
Right.
Right. This is my uniform. Right. But what we have to have is we got to have a central idea, a goal, and objective we're trying to attain. We got to agree on a mission and a vision as to what we want for us and for our children for the next generation. See?
Right.
So our people, and this is why I come on here, because we're entered in the hurricane season. And what I'm telling you is FEMA is not coming to save us.
Right.
And if past is prologue, meaning the past shows you what's going to happen in the future, right? Then we look at what happened, because Harris County is a so-called blue island, right? In a red state. Texas, right? Houston is a blue city in a red state. And we know that previous to this, the legislature has been very hostile towards this city and this county because it's blue, right? And we know that the Hurricane Harvey money was held up in terms of that. They blamed it on incompetence and corruption and all that. Come on.
Right.
You know, so there people still got blue tarps on their roofs.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Without a
Still
doubt.
down.
Right. And here we are. And here's the thing, the naked hypocrisy we need to look at. Hurricane, we live in USA, right?
Yeah. As we check now.
Yeah. No. United States of amnesia.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's where we live. Because last year about this time was Hurricane Beryl, right? Now here we are. This is called the energy capital of the world. Houston is, right? Some parts of this city, brother, was without lights for how long? For weeks.
Yeah.
It was hot. It was hot too. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, finger pointing began. This is why I'm talking about hypocrisy. The finger pointing began, right? They were saying, oh, yeah, see, center point, you at fault. They do share some of the fault, but I'm not going to put the blame on them. Why? Because the same politicians, the Houston Chronicle finally did something right. They exposed the politicians that was getting money from Centerpoint.
Yeah.
And were going to their little retreat. I said, oh, they done outed them.
And them blew
right?
the top off them.
Yeah, but you got to think about it. Who appoints the Public Utilities Commission? Who appoints those people on there? The same politicians that was condemning Centerpoint. Who passes deregulation for businesses to deregulate business? Why do people come from California and other places to set up business here? Because Texas is a low regulation, low tax state.
Right.
So everybody moving here. Well, shoot, man, I don't want to be in California with all these regulations. When I come to Texas, man, I can get
Easy.
go wide open. So they come here, right? Deregulation. So they deregulated the utility company. Right? They were taking money from the utility company, and then they blamed the utility company when they didn't come and do proper maintenance around their power lines or cutting down the trees that they should have been doing all the time.
Just had to make a fall guy.
And so now that they did it, they had to spend, almost $1 billion plus. They recovered. They're trying to do a piece. But if you think about it, the rainstorm we just had, not today, but the other day, there were 800,000 customers that didn't have power. So still, you're going to tell me that we're prepared? So now what happens, man? Go back to Harvey. Go back to Ike. Go back to the freeze. This is why, and I don't want to be, like Don the Downer.
No, tell it.
I gotta wake our people up.
Yeah,
they have to understand. I have to tell the homeboys, the homegirls, people in the hood, look, you got to prepare. It means making some sacrifice.
Yeah.
Right? So you may want to go to the Galleria. You may want that new outfit. But do you want that new outfit to make you feel good? Or do you want to have a little extra water or food at the house so that you can be good?
Come on.
Huh?
Come on, man.
What are you going to do? Can you get a flashlight? I know 25 lighters on the
We ain't got one. We don't even have one.
Well, all you need is one. Get one and get a flashlight and some batteries. You know what I'm saying? Right? I know. I mean, we want to feel good, man. Smoking on, hey. In the middle of the bar, no, look here. No. Get less or get none. Take that money as you're going to take and get you some extra water. Get you some food that is non-perishable, rice, beans, things like that, and an alternative way to cook.
Yeah.
All of these things you know is going to happen. You in the artist respect community, right? Pandemic, Freeze, Harvey, all of them. And you saw them cars lined up down Old Spanish Trail when they came to the mosque, right?
Come on.
It wasn't just hoopties. It wasn't cats on bicycles.
Mercedes-Benzes pulling up.
There were Benzes, BMWs, Infinities, everything. Because everybody, and I mean every strata of life in this city, was unprepared when they were hit like that. And I'm trying to tell us, nobody's coming to save us, brother and sister. Nobody's coming to save us. Yeah. We're going to have to organize ourselves. So this is the first shot that I'm doing to go out and to talk to the people about what we need to do to survive. Yeah. This isn't about thriving. This is about survive. You can't thrive until you survive. So this is the thing that I want to do. And we're going to give to you all of the necessary information where people can go online on their phone. Going to give them a QR code because it's based upon, a lot of this is based upon a sister named, her name is Landra Muhammad, right? Landra Muhammad. She wrote a book called Weathering the Storm, Disaster Preparedness, How to Survive the Fall of America, right? Yeah. And I mean, it's a very, very easy read, and she's got forums in here and everything that you need. You're gonna have the QR code on the show that will sit there with everybody, but all the forms that she has in there are in here, so that you can go with the QR code, go in there and look at the form that you need. So who is your primary contact information, right? Your family members. What about your medication? Right.
I was going to ask you, like, I have a parent that's diabetic, and when it comes to getting prepared for something like that, how do you go about stacking up on the insulin and stuff such like that?
Well, I don't know that you can stack up on it, unless the doctor lets you. But I know one thing, right? That in this book, in the QR code that we got, when you go through these forms, it will absolutely help you organize that. Right? Like your car.
It's more of an organization?
Yeah. So, I'm talking about being organized. You know what I'm saying? So, right?
Yes, sir.
Who your 911 emergencies people are, the fire, police, ambulance. Did you know that if the winds are blowing 40 miles an hour or more, you can be dialing 911 till your finger break off? The fire department's not coming.
They're not going to come.
They're not coming. So we have to know we got to know some basic first aid, right? So how do you turn off your gas? Say you got a house and you need to turn off your gas. Do you know how to turn off the gas? Do you know how to turn off your water? If you needed to, right? Cable, right? So here's all your insurances. You should write down your insurance so you know how to contact people. And you should have one or two things. You should have a stay-at-home, a shelter-in-place bag, and you should have a to-go bag.
Let's get out of here bag.
Right, let's get out of here bag. And then to get out of here bag, it should be a bag that all your important papers are in there. Think about how many people maybe lost their house or something happened, and then they go to FEMA to file a claim, and they say, well, where's your deed? Where's your proof that I lost everything? No, you have to have something that your insurance, all your important papers, your passports, all of that is in. So when you put that backpack on, and you have, again, medicine, medication, and snacks, water, whatever you can get in a backpack, so you can get out of there. At least you got the things that are important to kind of reconstruct your life. But again, as I said, we're going to give you the QR code. And then also for those who are more tech savvy, I'm going to give the link. So we'll put the link up to a course that you can take. It's a course based upon this book. Right? That you can go through each and every one of the chapters that's in this book and test yourself and see whether you learn what you need to learn. Somebody needs to do it. I mean, everybody, they say, oh man, I ain't listening to Muhammad, man, ain't nothing going on. But somebody need to listen.
We got a big problem, like you said, when you said the United States of Amnesia, that hits a nail on the head, because in the middle of the storm and in the aftermath of the storm, we get a glimpse of seeing how things would be if those types of circumstances were going on for an extended period of time. Lines down the street just to get some gas, grocery store shelves empty, and all these things. And then once things kind of normalize, we right back as if we don't live where we live. So how, in your opinion, can we popularize or make it more attractive to us to say, hey man, we need to prioritize this instead of going right back? Oh man, I can't wait till the club open back up, whatever it is. How can we popularize this to make people be more urgent about moving on this?
Well, again, this is what I'm trying to atone for, to make sure that I go to the rooftops and tell everybody what's going on. And I'm telling you, it's not hopeless. The fact that you're being warned, the fact that you're going to have all the tools that you need to organize yourself, this is available. People watch this podcast. People are on YouTube. People are on the internet. They watch social media. They follow the rappers and hip hop. That's, Mr. Farrakhan said that some of you all got more followers than he does on social media, right? He says that you all are like the Pied Pipers, if you will, of our people. You're real leaders of our people, believe it or not. But somebody has to give you the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to lead our people. See, I've always treated you all like that. See, I never said, well, I'm better than you. I'm saying, okay, man, look at this, man. Look at this. Look at this. And you'll take one of my lectures and listen to it. Next thing I know, it's on one of your albums. And people want, man, Cave's the lyric. You are the wizard, brother. You already had that innate skill. Mr. Farrakhan says, blessed is he who discovers their purpose and fulfills it.
That's right. Yeah.
See? So we're here, no regrets media. Yeah. Blessed is he who discovers their purpose and fulfills it. Right. So now you're beginning to fulfill it, because now we're circumventing the regular media. We're getting our message out. They were not going to let me on Channel 11 to tell them that, Channel 13, Channel 2. Maybe they would. I don't know. But if I say Farrakhan, they might get mine out,
Cut!
I'm not cut off. But see, here again is medication list. Yeah. See? So all of this comes with that QR code, your doctor's names, your mom and them doctor's name and all of that, the pharmacies. Yeah. Right? All of these forms, right? All of these forms, how your house should be laid out. Yeah. Your escape place you want to go. But the beautiful thing about it is that there are 4 phases to emergency management, right? Mm-hmm. There's mitigation, which is long-term. That means, okay, I'm going to fix the sewers. I'm going to work on the flood control district. I'm going to do all that. That's kind of long-term, big investments. Yeah. You're teaching and training the people along
preventative maintenance in a way.
Yeah, you're putting things in place, right? Cleaning out the ditches and doing all that so that when the rainstorms come, I mean, Houston is built on many rivers called bayous. Yeah. When this
Bayou City.
Yeah, when this city was first founded, man, people were dying of yellow fever because it was a swamp. Right. Right? You got all of these watersheds, right? Everything, Lake Houston, you got all these channel, you got all of these watersheds, you got all of these watersheds around here, brother. And so when it rains, and it has no place to go. Yeah. It fill up the roads. It does all of that, right? The bayous overflow. But, you got a shelter in place list here. What things you should have in there, additional items. Do you got a fire extinguisher in your house? Grab and go items. So all of this we're going to make available to the listeners, and they can just go on that QR code, man, hit that joint and go in here and say, oh man, let me print these forms out, or at least get these forms so I can get myself organized. Right. Man, if you love your children, if you love Big Mama and your daddy and all of them that might have diabetes, man, the thing that I really, in one sense, I do admire police and firemen, because if they're out there as quote unquote first responders, man, think about it, they got families too. Yeah. So the first thing I do, look out for their family, right? Damn, is my family okay? I gotta go save all these people. But is my family okay? See? So that's where we are, man. These calamities are increasing in intensity and frequency. Right. And anybody, you can stick your head down in the sand and that. Now, we talk about mitigation, right? That's long term. It's preparedness. What I'm talking about right now is preparedness.
Right.
Look, brother, 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 Saturdays ago, they had a disaster preparedness resilience expo at the George R. Brown Convention Center. Every emergency management agency and affiliated agency was there,
Don't say it.
but there wasn't a whole bunch
Don't
of people.
say it. I knew that's what's coming. I knew that
And
was coming.
it absolutely sent an alarm bell. The city, the county, they have resources. So what we're going to be doing over this next months, brother, is I'm going to call on those resources, go around the city in different parts of the city, and have what all the stuff that they were giving away for people, so they would have the stuff. Right now, I'm coming on here just to kind of like hit the airwaves.
Right.
But after that, we're going to actually have some meetings, some physical meetings, little teaching on things that people got to do. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the city who had, man, I mean, brother, you talk about giveaways. They had so many giveaways, man, you need 2 bags to walk out of the stuff.
Right.
But I know that they took a bunch of stuff back to the warehouse.
You know, in situations like that too, because I didn't even know anything about it, but we got to approach those type of events the same way we look at if it's a concert or something coming down. We got to get on the radio, do radio commercials like, hey, this is happening June the 5th, whatever it is. We got to promote it, and put money behind it for advertising spots so the people can come out, you know, because I think one of the things that may have been the catalyst behind the low attendance is just people just didn't know. You know, the word might not have got out.
I agree, brother. You know, and in meeting with the Director of Homeland Security, Deputy Director Satterwhite, and others that were there, and Councilwoman Letitia Plummer and others, you know, I was there. You know, I told them my concerns, and they expressed their concerns, and so I believe that they're going to be helpful, because in the end, when you look at what I just started off with talking about, FEMA, nobody's coming to save us.
Yeah.
Right? They know that. See, they know. Okay, nobody's coming to say it's going to be on us. Right? All of this weight's going to fall on the state and this city. This is the 4th largest city in the country, man. This is the energy capital of the world. Texas' economy really revolves around what goes on in the Houston-Galveston area. This area right here is very important. Dallas-Fort Worth is also. San Antonio, Austin area is important also. And of course, our West Texas ranches and oil that's being produced, being pumped and whatnot out there. But there's a lot going on in this state, and to be ill-affected like that, and for poor people, you know, and in a bigger sense, brother, we have to understand, man, that, you know, we don't have a friend but God in each other.
That's right.
We have to, Minister Farrakhan teaches us, we have to depend on Allah. We have to depend on Allah and each other to do something for ourselves.
Right.
And one of the things that we have to do when it comes to our spending, I'm trying to get in nobody's pocket. I'm not trying to tell somebody how to live, but what I'm saying is that you and I got to get some discipline.
Right. Yeah.
It took discipline for you to put out them 7 albums. What do you released 7 albums at once?
Yes,
Go with like 4.
Yeah, 2 years later. Yes, 2016. Yeah.
So you think about the discipline it took for you to write, rap, produce, edit, get the beats, get all that, put them together, and have all of those. Man, I'm like, whoa. It takes discipline, right? It takes discipline to do what you do. To take this show, to edit it, to you gotta have a love. It's a certain thing. It's a certain discipline that requires. We need fiscal discipline.
Right.
We can't have $1.6 trillion coming out this economy and we're beggars when we could be builders.
Yeah.
Right? We complain in our hoods about gentrification. Well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have been telling us for years.
Right.
Land is the basis of wealth. We have to own some of this earth we can call our own.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if you can only afford to rent, then you rent. But we have people that have means that we could organize. We should organize along the line, man, so we can buy land, purchase land. We have to get people out of our logistical supply line. What do I mean? From the field to the meal. We have to get those people from in between.
Yeah.
Because the fact, if you look at how sick we are, our health disparities, right? It's based upon really is our nutrition or lack thereof. You know, you can't live off of Red Hot Cheetos.
That's right. That's
you
right.
know, you got to drink water.
Come on.
You know,
Come
you
on.
got to eat good food. You can't go down to the convenience store.
No.
You can't go to fast food. Sometimes you have to sit down and have a decent meal. We have what they call food deserts. Oh, what a food desert. What a food desert. It means that you don't have access to fruits and vegetables, fresh fruits and vegetables. So we've got black farmers. Do you know we have more black people in Texas than any other state? And we have more black farmers in Texas than any other state.
Wow.
So why should our black farmers not have money in their pocket and we not have food on the table?
Come on.
It just takes us being organized. I can't do it by myself.
Right. Yeah.
Jesus himself said, I myself can do nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So I can't talk I, me, and mine. You know, you say, well, why don't you all do it? No, why don't we
yeah.
do it? How about some us, our, and we do it?
That's one of my biggest issues. It's an indirect way of people saying that they appreciate the nation and not appreciate that they know what the nation stands for and what the nation stands on, but they also had this mindset of like, if something like that of that magnitude needs to get done, well, y'all need to do it. And they don't never want to include themselves into that group. Like, well, no, this is for everybody, but no one group can do it all by themselves.
That's absolutely Minister Farrakhan's words. In 2005, after Hurricane Katrina, we probably had the largest gathering. It was the 10th anniversary of the Million Man March in 1995. We had the largest gathering of black leadership, the spectrum of black leadership. Everybody from Jesse Jackson to Minister Farrakhan, Dorothy Height. You know, I mean, you talk about all the icons of black power and this, that, and the other. It was everything across the board, right? And it was called the Millions More Movement. And the minister at that time introduced ministries, right? Ministries. He said, Ministry of Education. Look at what they do in education. You can't teach black history now in school.
Critical race theory.
They call it critical race theory. What is that, man? Critical race theory is taught in law school, brother.
Right.
It's not even taught in high school, even in undergrad. Even in a master's program, it's taught like in law school, right? And so what do you mean critical race theory, man? Really translate to black. You can't teach black history. That's really what it is, right? DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. When it comes to direct DEI, brother, we're really number 5 on the list of people that benefit from it. So they put that racial component to it to show us as some kind of welfare queen, somebody that's getting something that we didn't deserve, right? So that they can justify doing what they're doing, right? You know, so wokeness. You know, that's how we talk.
Come on.
Come on now.
They are actually woke shaming people now. They making woke be a bad word. And I tell people all the time, big brother, I like, look, man, don't let people trick you into not standing on or making woke being a bad thing. If you woke, you woke.
Right.
But it's this woke okay, we woke. We woke. So and what?
What is the opposite of woke?
Come on, sleep.
Exactly. They want you sleeping and slumbering so they can continue to rob, steal, and pillage.
Come on.
And that's really where we are right now, man. They're getting ready to cut, like I said, SNAP, Medicare and all that. And I'm not carrying Democratic talking points. I really could give a skip. I'm as angry with them as I am with these other fellows that's in charge.
Come on.
Because they had the opportunity. They had the House, they had the Senate, they had the White House, and they'll talk about what they couldn't do.
Yeah.
Right? And the reason why many of us stayed home, bro, is because of what was going on over in Gaza. I mean, it's one thing to talk about Ukraine and, you know, Russians hit a bomb and hit a school or something. You thought, oh, it's a war crime.
That's new.
Right.
Yeah.
They hit a war crime, but you watching these Palestinians get slaughtered.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you trying to shame me, say I'm with Hamas, you know. Do you condemn Hamas? I condemn all oppression, man. I condemn anybody. The Holy Quran teaches us, man, never be the aggressor. Yeah. But you fight with those who fight with you. Right. So what are we talking about? And so what's happening is on TikTok, why do they want to ban TikTok? Why did they want to? Because the young people was finding out all this truth on social media, and they wasn't watching the corporate media who was selling Biden and them's line. You know, he could have stopped that. He could have stopped them. He could have told my man, look, man, stop. Okay, enough is enough. He warned him. He told him, don't do what we did when it came to Iraq. Well, if you think about what they do, they made up some stuff to go into Iraq.
Yeah,
Weapons of mass destruction.
It
Yeah.
was the weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Right? You think about all of the wounded people that come back, the VA, lost limbs, suffering
Mental stuff.
from mental stuff and all of that and whatnot, dying of cancer from these burn pits where they were burning stuff and all this kind of stuff. And you had doggone there begged them to take care of the people who went over there to fight this war that you made up. So we Syria, the whole thing is Syria. Barack Obama, the one that went into Syria. Minister Farrakhan wrote him a letter talking about the errant foreign policy. Don't do it, Mr. President. But what is happening is, brother, is that in truth, you think you're looking at the government, but you're not. There's a shadow government behind it.
Let's talk about it.
And this isn't a conspircy thery. It's conspiracy fact.
Conspiracy.
There are people who are doing. So you look at what's going on. Why won't people just be even-handed about what's going on in Gaza? What's going on in the West Bank? Why can't we talk about how is that anti-Semitism?
Yeah.
How is that? I challenge anybody. I don't even want to get in that conversation because we're the original people that we're Semites. No, we're not. We're the original people that we're the mother and father of all human beings. So I have a right to speak.
Come on.
Now that I'm woke.
Come on.
Right? You know how your children, you go to sleep, you take a nap. We took a nap. They couldn't rule if we was asleep. I mean, we was awake. They couldn't rule. They had to rule. So somebody had to be asleep in order for them to rule. But everybody's waking up. Look at this brother, Ibrahim Traore over there in Burkina Faso. Yeah. And you're looking at all what's going on over there in the Sahel, Mali and the countries over there and what they're doing over there, brother. They're uniting. Things are starting to happen in Africa. And then because of social media, it's spreading all over Africa. So look, we don't need to sit around and Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, and this young brother has really inspired people. But you think about what Gaddafi was trying to do. He's trying to create a United States of Africa.
Right.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, his delegation was the only delegation from the diaspora that was at the last meeting of the Organization of African Unity, which then led to the birth of the African Union, right? And the young people are coming up and they're disappointed. It's just like you all kind of like, man, I don't know what our so-called leaders are doing, man. So we don't want to talk about politics and all that thing, but I'm saying in every facet of our life, we got to organize ourselves, right? And I'm the type of person like, okay, you can talk about integration, assimilation, and all of that and accommodation.
Any other Asian.
Yeah, all of them. You can talk about all of that and how we just, man, this country is going to be an anniversary. Going to be 250 years. When have we ever received justice? When have we really been equal? When we had equal opportunity? When have we really had freedom, full and complete freedom? If you can tell me that, show me that. Don't tell me when pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's a cruel thing, Dr. King said, to tell somebody to pull himself up by the bootstraps and you got a bootless man.
You ain't got no boots,
right? Yeah. So there's a lot. I could, man, look, brother, I could talk about the Homestead Acts. The Homestead Acts, they passed the Homestead Act. So when all these European immigrants came over here, they gave them land. They gave them the Indian land. They ran the Indians off the land. They gave them the Indian land. So they gave them land. They gave them tools. They gave them loans. They gave them everything. But here we were so-called emancipated. They didn't give us nothing but hard times and bubblegum.
Yeah.
But yet, we went and we settled at least 60 towns, separate and apart from what our ex-slave masters, man. Right. We made progress. I was in Oklahoma a couple weeks ago. I was on Black Wall Street, Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. They got there. That's where they got from. Greenwood, Archer, and Pine.
That's right. That's the gap. That's the GAP. Yeah.
You dropped the bomb on me. Yeah. They literally did. And they got a wonderful museum up there, brother. Wow. You should go and check it out. If you're ever in Tulsa, go there and go to that museum and check out the museum. Why I say it's wonderful if you go in there with the right mindset. You look at all of the people that sponsored it. They may have a different motive than I had for going in there and looking at it. Their motive might have been, see, this is what y'all got too uppity. This is what we did to you. I want to remind you. I'm going to pay for this now. I'm going to remind you. But for me going in there, this is what they did. I said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Now, not only that, but you know, as I usually talk about my great-grandparents being from Wilmington, North Carolina, right? And in 1898, November 10th and 11th, it's called the Wilmington Massacre of 1898.
Yeah,
it's the only time what they tried to do on January 6th and overthrowing the, you know, kind of they call the insurrection, it actually worked in Wilmington. They actually overthrew the municipal government and ran all of the progressive whites out of town, put them on the train, said, you get out of here by sundown. The black people who are leaders and all that. And it was Jews and Gentiles that did it.
Yeah.
You know, the man who owned, the Jewish man that owned the general store there, the hardware store there, he wouldn't sell black people ammunition to defend themselves. So see, you know, you don't have to, if I really wanted to hate people, I would hate them for a reason, for what they did to my great-grandparents that led to what happened to my grandparents, that led to happen to my own parents, brother. I can trace this kind of contagion of problems in my family all to them. I may be the first generation that didn't have a divorce, meaning I'm the first one that didn't have a divorce in my family.
Right.
You know, so these are things, brother, I look at and I think about, you think about generational wealth.
Right.
Right? Donald Trump didn't do it, he wasn't brilliant. He inherited, man, generational wealth.
Yeah.
These people inherit generational wealth and then point your finger at me and you like, you lazy so-and-so.
And they inherit stolen generational wealth in a lot of cases, you know, because like when you speak about the Native Americans and you speak about how America was built on our backs as black people and all that, they got such a head start from just that and thievery that, you know, now to be in the modern day bragging on it and trying to tell us our shortcomings are, you know, like I said, is hypocrisy. But I think it's also part of our need to learn that history, to learn our history. Because I think when you're speaking about TikTok and all the young people, if they find out what happened, what's really going on, they gonna move on it. I believe they gonna move on it. I think they want to keep our young people just ignorant like that, and then our old people are so set in their ways in a lot of cases that, you know, they not gonna move, and they old, so they shouldn't have to move. But yeah.
Well, you have the dumbing down of America, Minister Farrakhan talks about. You know, there's the educational challenge is a new paradigm, is an educational paradigm for the 21st century. The paradigm that we have, you know, the torchlight of civilization is this educational system. If we look at what's going on, right, in this country with education, brother, you look at all these other countries that are outstripping us, you know, why? Because the education system, we've been dumbed down. We actually believe some of this stuff. We be in these echo chambers, man. Look, brother, I watch Fox News because I want to know what they talk. I watch Newsmax. I want to know what they're saying.
Yeah, you keep your enemies close.
I'm watching MSNBC. Yeah. I'm watching CNN. I'm watching, you know, BBC. I want to know what's going on overseas, right? I got an Africa channel on my TV. You know, Black News and all that. I'm trying to watch the whole board, man. Because we're at the point now, brother, we look at, in terms of Africa, we look at what's going on in Africa. Like I said, man, the young people in Africa is like saying, yo, what's going on? You know, we don't want this. Well, how come we're the richest continent? How come everybody comes here and we're in the condition that we're in?
Yeah, stripping the resources.
How is that possible?
Yeah.
You know, it kind of reminds me of the neighborhood. We said we poor, we live in the hood, but how come everybody comes to set up shop in the hood?
Right.
Well, how did they do it, right? Every immigrant group that's come here has set up shop in our neighborhood.
Convenience stores, beauty shops, hair stores, nail shops. All this different,
You buy, we fry.
Right, you buy, we fry.
Do you know that the Nation of Islam had 19 fish kings in this city at one time? You know, we were the largest. In Houston.
Wow.
We were the one, but if not the largest importer of fish in the country at one time.
Right.
Whiting H&G, we're bringing it in, man, by the metric tons.
Right.
We were bringing it in, beloved. And so here we are now, you know, after the destruction of the Nation of Islam, right? Minister Farrakhan rebuilding it. But he had to rebuild it on the basis of our vertical growth. We had to be upright, as the Quran says. Set thy face for religion being upright, right? That's what we got to be. Because who wants to be in business with a crook, right? And now we got to talk about the horizontal growth, right? We got to talk about the horizontal growth. We have to get food, clothing, shelter, and all the other essentials of life. What's your backup communication plan? Does anybody got a ham radio? Are you part of a ham radio network? Now, what do you think about? I mean, people say ham radio. What do you think about ham radio? Yeah, ham radio, so you can communicate if the cell phone towers.
If all the so-called modern technology when it's gone.
What are we gonna do without the internet? Man, my cell phone won't work. You know why it won't work? Because that 100-mile-an-hour wind knocked down the cell tower.
Right.
What you gonna do?
Right.
What is the alternative? So again, mitigation, preparation, response, and recovery. So now when you talk about Brother Trey, right, it's response and recovery. He's responding to it, right? He's going wherever the disaster is. My brother is working, you know? He's going, he's responding to it, right? But then at the end is recovery.
Yeah.
Right? So all of those 4 stages of emergency management, we have to organize each aspect of it for our own survival in our own community.
What exactly are they have they done to FEMA, or is it FEMA saying, we ain't got nothing for y'all? Because what I do remember specifically with Harvey, I remember that a lot of the efforts that was carried out, relief efforts were carried out by the people in different organizations. So of course FEMA may have done some things, but it's like people was complaining about FEMA when they were supposedly getting down for the people. So what has happened now that where you telling us now, hey, FEMA pretty much gonna be hands off?
Whatever good that they were doing, they're trying to lessen the federal footprint.
Got it.
So whatever good FEMA did, they're gonna do less of it.
Gotcha.
That's what I mean.
Gotcha.
And most of it's going to be for the states to absorb the cost of recovery.
Individually, state to
They're
state.
not going to get as much. They're not going to get back the reimbursement.
Gotcha.
There's some things that are so, I mean, when your whole electrical system fails, when your wastewater system fails, all of that, your water purification systems it messed up because of the storm or tornado or whatever. You would go to the federal government for reimbursement. If your governor declares a national emergency, goes to the president declares a national emergency, and that triggers FEMA to come in and to help. And to bring in assets. They bring in stuff. They do bring some stuff to the states and to the disaster areas, but unfortunately, nobody's coming. It's almost like Custer's last.
He was waiting,
and you waiting for that bugle. You waiting for that bugle blow to be blowing. You looking for do. You ain't gonna hear that.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody coming over the hill.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say to us. And I'm not trying to say to frighten us. I'm trying to say we got to make a decision.
Right.
Mr. Farrakhan taught me once. He said, "Brother, we're either beneficiaries or victims of the decisions that we make." So, what decision are we gonna make after hearing this information? Looking at the QR code, getting them forms off, working on them forms, right? Hey, you ain't gotta have no PhD to do all that. You ain't gotta be Dr. Muhammad to get yourself together.
Yeah.
Look after your people, look after the children. What's your plan? What's your plan for your children if they're at school? What's your plan if, say, you live nearby you or something like that and it floods and you have to evacuate the house? Where are y'all supposed to meet? Y'all got a plan where you're gonna meet? You know where your wife work, your girl work, your significant other works. What if something happens? Where are y'all supposed to meet? Where you gonna? You got,
especially with no communication down. You got to already know that.
Right. I know that we're gonna meet at such and such. We're gonna meet at the Whataburger. We're gonna meet at the park. We're gonna meet over here at the school. This is the plan. We have to sit around the table, man, and put away our phones.
Exactly.
We got to put away our phone. Look, put that phone up.
Yeah.
You sitting there doing like that. He doing like that. Nobody talking to nobody.
Right.
Put the daggone phone up.
Right. That doggone
Sit and let's
hypnotist.
talk. Look here. what we about to do? I remember I went back to my brother's house full of people from the East Coast, of course. And I said, we fitting to, man, the whole Rob, what you say? I said, we about to now.
Too late. They got you.
You've been in Texas.
Huh? You done got Houstonized. A lot of people was talking about, I guess, recent months, they were talking about the tariffs and all that, and just how other countries was like, okay, you want to play that game, America, we're going to play that game back with you. So a conversation started to come up about certain imports that the United States were not going to be able to get, or just made the prices maybe up, whatever it is. But in the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has been talking for years about storing food in your house and having food. I've heard the minister say have about 3 months worth of stuff in your house. And you mentioned earlier about alternative methods of cooking. And can you like elaborate on that and kind of give people to understand who may not even be aware, or some may be aware, they just don't know what to do in those situations?
I mean, you got your, say, one thing we know about is us having a smoker, having a grill.
Right.
Go get your charcoal and your lighter fluid now. Yeah. Right? Go get it now, because the prices are going up because of the tariffs. Right? Because if you look at everybody do a label check, man, most of our stuff is made overseas.
Yeah.
So if there's a tariff, they charge it. What happens is you're going to pay it, because them companies Walmart's not going to absorb it. Target's not going to absorb it. Macy's not going to absorb it.
Trickle down.
You're going to have to pay. Now, you know what used to cost $10 now going to cost you $15.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So go now, go now and get your supplies. And you don't have to try to get it all at once, but you need to be stacked. Like you say, I'm stacking my chips.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to need to be gone. Get your paper towels, get your toilet paper, get your canned goods, get your water, get your matches, get your flashlight, get your alternative ways to cook and things like that. Get your little backpack together, get big old plastic bags, a big old hefty plastic bag that you can put your important papers in and all of that. Or get your little firebox in case your house catch fire. At least your important papers won't burn up, your insurance papers, car registry, all that kind of stuff. Man, look, value your life. Value your life.
Come on.
I don't want to get down. I'm a happy warrior, man. I love our people, brother. And I want to make them laugh, but I can't make them laugh because the hour's too serious for me to play with them.
Come on, man. Man.
I love them so much. I got to tell you, sister and brother, you and I have to really get serious, sane, and sober in this hour, because nobody's coming to help us. We got to help ourselves. We're actually in a hostile environment. And we don't have to hate nobody. You ain't got to hate nobody. It's not being anti-anybody. It's being pro about yourself and your family.
Too, and cause that's another thing, man. We gotta factor in, y'all, how much money we spend on crap, on just worthless stuff, man. Stuff that we don't need. If you factor that in, even in a week, but if the weeks turn into months and the months turn into a year, man, you spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on just stuff that we really don't need. So to just have the mindset to say, okay, let me get 2 or 3 extra cases of water this week. Let's get some like say some non-perishable. So in the slow accumulation should put us where we need to be. And is that what you basically saying?
Yeah. Get a manual can opener.
Yeah.
Not electric.
Yeah, the old school. Yeah. You gotta turn it, stick that thing in there.
And a Flintstone. You can get a hammer.
Turn that boy. Yeah.
Hammer and a damn screwdriver trying to open up that can.
Man.
I'm saying it like that. But the truth of the matter is, if you look at the dollar stores, if you look at all of these places, like you said, the beauty supply shops, we buy, we fry. We look at all that, and we look and we see that we're not even a community, we're a colony. People come and they extract from our community and build up their own. I'm not angry at nobody. I'm not angry at the Arabs or the Muslim community. I'm not angry at the Asian community. If we just go right down the Beltway and make that left on Bel Air, go up under the Sam Houston, go left, and you'll see the signs start changing.
Yeah.
I had one banker to say to me, he says, Muhammad, He said, we try to penetrate the Asian market. He said, no, they keep that money among themselves. They got their own banks, their own thing. You see strip centers, they got everything up and down there. And one of the things that Gene Wu, who is a state representative, he said, you know, we really don't have a good relationship with the Black community. He's talking to Asians. He said, but everything that we got achieved is because of them.
That's crazy.
Then people need to understand that, you know, there's come before the Supreme Court is that thing about birthright citizenship, the 14th Amendment. Yes, it was for us. Slavery was for us. And everybody else is rode in on our backs. The Voters' Rights Act, the 15th Amendment for to have voting rights. Then nobody can discriminate you in terms of voting. That was because those are 13th Amendment to abolish slavery and involuntary servitude, except for if you committed a crime or duly convicted of a crime. 14th Amendment, equal citizenship and equal due process, and then the 15th Amendment being able to vote. Right, all of those are Reconstruction amendments that was for the formerly enslaved, and everybody's benefited from that. That's my point.
Yeah.
And so that's his point. And I agree with him. So at a certain point in time, man, you know, I'm going to talk to our community, but I'm going to have to talk to these other communities about an equitable relationship. I saw one post, man, this Mexican brother was tatted up. He said, man, 100 Mexicans against 100 Blacks. He said, how about 100 Mexicans and 100 Black going into business together?
Come on.
I said, whoa, he was tatted up too, man, you know? And so if we began to say, you know what, hey, you know, but oh, they doing this, they doing that. When they come here, man, you find the area that they settle in, all of a sudden that grocery store is reflecting that, everything. Why are you mad at them?
Right.
Where is Little Africa?
Come on, man.
That's all I want to say. We know where Little Asia is. We know where Chinatown is. We know where the Hispanics are. We know where the Africans are. Where is Little Africa? Meaning our Little Africa.
Right.
You know what's crazy about what you was just saying? Even I seen the other day that they all did a little research on that. They were saying how Asians, you'll never see an Asian commercial. Like they don't even advertise because it's already understood that we're going here, we're going here, we're going here. So they only waste their dollars with advertisement.
Well, you know, we've lost the knowledge of self. One of the things about the Nation of Islam is a loss of knowledge of self. See, we're taught to love. I love everybody. Anybody that tells you they love everybody don't love nobody.
Yeah.
Because Jesus gives you in the second summary of the Ten Commandments, he says in the second commandment is like unto the first, which is to love thy neighbor as thyself. Well, what if we hate ourselves? How are you qualified to love your neighbor?
Okay.
And every time we move, you think about this. Like I said, brother, when I first moved here in 1980, man, this area was the up and coming Black middle class was living out this way. Now, you know, they had to put the task force out here to go after them. I mean, what happened? And every time you think about it, the further out we move, the further out they move.
Yeah, we chasing them.
We chasing them, right?
Yeah.
Right? So you look at it. When I was here, brother, you know, I went to the Astrodome, man, to see a Yates-Madison game. I said, man, this is, what, man, I ain't never seen nothing like that. A high school football game. But that's when Yates in the heyday, that 85 team that was undefeated.
Johnny Bailey and them boys.
Yeah, all them boys like that, man. So you look at, look at when you look at Sterling, you look at Worthing, you look at Jones, you look at Yates, their school, they had a rivalry, man, because every one of them could stand on their own 2 feet and bang with whether it's basketball, football, whatever, right? But what happened? We said, well, I don't like that neighborhood, so I'm going to move further out. Then when you looked, then it was a certain point in time that Willow Ridge was rocking, right? Because the people, because we moved out there. Then after that, then it was Elkins with their baseball team, right? And then you go further out, then it's Hightower, and now it's Bush. And then, so the farther out we went, the farther out they would say, you know something, I'm going to chuck y'all a deuce.
And now there's no more Jesse H. Jones. Jones is gone, and a lot of other schools were struggling. I remember Worthing was struggling at one point, a lot of those schools and things of that nature, man.
You know how Missouri City was? Now Missouri City, Pearland is the new Missouri City right now.
That's
it. They stretched it out, it went out there now.
Well, all of that, after a certain point in time, beloved, we're going to have a family meeting. You know, there are organizations, Asian organizations, they don't invite us to come to that meeting, and I'm not mad at them. Right? There's Jewish organizations, they have meetings, they don't invite us. I'm not mad at them. Right? Other people have meetings, they don't invite us. Why don't we have a family meeting and say, we need to talk.
Right.
We need an unapologetically Black agenda where we don't apologize. See, in this Texas legislature right now and in the Congress, the oil and gas people have an agenda. They said, man, you pass this law, we're coming after you. But this is what you should pass, right? The insurance companies, right? Law enforcement, you name it. Everybody has got a lobby that's up there literally writing the bills and giving them to the legislature and saying, you pass this. The education people, whoever it is, they're all up there lobbying right now, right? Right? Where's our agenda? What are the 5 things that we agree upon? Or 10 things that we agree upon that are red lines?
Right.
If you cross this red line, forget about it. And you know, I saw something here. I don't have the figure in front of me, but I saw something where, you know, a large percentage of people just didn't vote at all.
This election.
Yeah,
this past election.
they didn't vote at all, man. A large amount. So now what happens, brother, if all of a sudden now we put together this unapologetic agenda, and we invite, I don't care whether they're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, you come to a meeting. And we sit in a panel, some rappers, we have the streets and the suites there, right? We say, okay, we sent you the agenda 10 days in advance. Okay, where you stand on point number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. And we let them run it down, we take notes, and then we dismiss them like Orange Juice Jones.
Yeah. You dismiss.
You dismissed, right? We dismiss them.
Hush puppy shoe wham.
So we dismiss them, right? And then we caucus among ourselves. We say, okay, what do you think about this candidate, that candidate, that? Well, okay, we're going to support this one. There's about 200 people. No, that's not right. There's a lot of people running for the 18th congressional district, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do you know some? There's a possibility that something other than Mr. Turner and Mr. Lee, Sheila Jackson Lee's party could slip in there.
Right.
Because we're splitting up the vote. All these Black people running, right? And they got a Republican that's in it. Do you know it's almost like an open vote. It ain't like it's going to be here's a Republican on here and the Democrat over here. All these people here, it's just going to be everybody going to be together. And if all the Republicans unite themselves and vote for that person, it's not then necessarily a win because you got to get 50% plus 1 to win it. But it may be a runoff between that Republican and somebody else, and we need to make up our mind. And then the thing about us, if we lose, we don't see the bigger picture. Okay, so-and-so wins. I ain't like her. I don't like him, so I'm not going to put my people behind them. We're foolish, brother.
Yeah.
And Minister Farrakhan teaches us that our unity, and from the teaching of Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as I told you over the years, our unity is more powerful than an atomic bomb.
That's right.
If we would just unite. You know, and his brother Nuri loved to point out, I love it. He said, you know, we blame people, you know, 95% of our problems we blame on white people, and we spend 97% of our money with them.
Yeah.
And go, well, does that make sense? Why would you give money to people that disrespect you?
Yeah.
And I'm for boycotting because, you know, we was talking about up with Jesus and down with Santa.
Yeah, you read my
you know,
mind.
we was saying Black Friday,
10,
man. Look
10,
here,
15.
don't stop that. Stop spending your money like going and running and fighting each other over big screen TV or standing in line over a pair of sneakers.
Yeah.
And I told you, I've been to China, right?
Right.
I went to the city where they manufacture these shoes. Where the shoes is $8 to $12, and you fighting somebody, killing somebody over a $200 pair of sneakers that was only $12 over there?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Right? And then if you wait, you know how to budget your money and all this kind of stuff. I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not, brother. There's some things I really like to do, and if you got that one thing you want to do.
Yeah, no question.
But one thing about it is that, you know, my family is such that you know, they're very responsible, and I know that I want for my brother and sister what I want for myself. Man. I want us to prosper. I want us to survive. I don't want us to suffer unnecessarily. So we have to understand that America is under divine judgment.
Yeah.
God does not use. He's not going to use the Russians, Chinese. They're not going to invade America like that, man. No. It's God is using the forces of nature. That's how he fights. If I told you, go back and read. Why you read Exodus and think it's talking about them people that's over there in the so-called Middle East right now? That's not them.
Right.
They weren't never there.
There's no
That's
record.
not them.
Yeah.
Right? But if you look at it, if you was writing a play and you put that play together of a people that were going to be in bondage for 400 years, and after that time, God says, I will come and judge their nation which they will serve, and I'll bring them out with great substance, and they will go to their fathers in peace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've been here for 400 plus years.
Who fit the description?
Come on.
Yeah.
So it's not to negate anybody else, but it's to simply say to each and every one that, you know something, I know who I am and whose I am. And I am obligated to get on these airwaves, in them streets, have these meetings, to warn the people now that it's time now for us to have this discussion. Those who want to integrate, assimilate, and accommodate.
Every other 8.
And accommodate. You know, we need to have the conversation with those of us who want to separate, get reparation, and repatriation, right? Because I've been blessed with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to travel to Africa, to travel to China, to go to Turkey, and to see different parts of the world, man. And do you know how much people in the world admire us?
Yeah.
I was in a hotel, man, in Turkey one time. The volume was down on the TV. And it was Fridays with Ice Cube.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. I'm laughing. I said, oh, yeah, I seen that. I turned up the volume. It was in Turkey.
They translated.
So this is what they think about us?
Yeah.
This is what is exported about us? So many of I've seen, again, a post of African sisters saying, this is what we teach our children when they go over to America, to look at us like we're savages and this, that, and the other. No, we lack the knowledge of self.
Yeah.
When you lack the knowledge of self, man, then what do you reflect? You reflect who is your teacher, who is your example, right? But what we got to do, brother, we got to have, stop letting ourselves be defined by others. Minister Farrakhan says, he who gives you the diameter of your knowledge prescribes for you the circumference of your activity, right? So I want the people to go to NOI.org, man, or go look up Final Call newspaper online, read the newspaper, look at it, study that, go on YouTube, listen to Minister Farrakhan's speeches, follow us on Mos 45 on Instagram, on IG, follow me on IG, and just get a little bit of whatever could help you.
Right.
Some people need help with diet. We got problems with obesity, right? We have problems with diabetes.
That's right.
We have problems with high blood pressure. How to Eat to Live can help you with that, right? We have economic problems, right? So the Muhammad economic blueprint is how to save a little bit of money. Everybody saves a little bit of money, right? Pull it together, and we're able to do stuff for ourselves, right? The Muhammad University of Islam is our school system, but that school system is not exclusive to just the Muslims alone, even though that's the one the Honorable Elijah Muhammad started and sustained, and we sustain today that Minister Farrakhan rebuilt the school, and that's what we have. But the paradigm, the idea of educating ourselves about the knowledge of self, knowledge of God, the knowledge of others, the time and what must be done, got to be taught to our children, because once our children know who they are, man,
it's over.
A light comes on in
It's
their
over.
head. Like you said about if you go on social media and they begin to see what's going on in the world, they're seeing what's happening in Burkina Faso and Mali and Niger, and they begin to see what's happening in Ivory Coast and Senegal. They listen to the brother Julius Malema there in South Africa, and they listen different revolutionary voices. They go back, they find old clips of Gaddafi trying to tell them what's going on. They look at the hypocrisy of this leader and that leader. You look at, I'm going to condemn Russia for attacking Ukraine, but I'm going to watch these people starve in Gaza.
Come on.
And I'm not going to say a peeping word. No, the young people ain't going for
No,
that. They see that
zero tolerance.
That's hypocrisy.
Yeah.
So now, they're trying to make the word anti-Semitism let make laws. Yeah, like, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm not anti-Semitic? I'm your daddy.
Yeah.
How can I be, it's like Darth Vader said to Luke,
I'm your father.
I'm your father. I'm your father, man. I don't even deal with them on that basis, man. I got them a whole nother lexicon, a whole nother language, a whole nother supreme wisdom that I deal with them on. I ain't even gonna argue that. That is something. Them some Johnny come lately people.
Yeah.
We're the original people of the earth. I'm not arguing whether we're Moors, whether we're Africans, people. I'm not arguing none of that.
Right.
We're the original people of the earth.
Right.
I
think we waste a lot of time with that crap as black people, because you spoke about unity without uniformity, and with some things are just so frivolous. I don't know if it was the minister that said this, but somebody in the nation said it. They said that some of that stuff, man, is so lightweight. Let's have that conversation after we free. We don't worry about all that crap right now. Let's get this monkey off our back and get free first, then we can sort out, oh yeah, you was right about that. Okay, I was wrong. Okay, we can move on forward from that. One of the things that I get in the conversation with people a lot of the time is about the conversation of separation. And a lot of black people, they don't like that. They don't like to hear about separate. What does separation look like in the Nation of Islam for black people who are not in the nation and they can't grasp that concept of how important it is for us to have that thought?
You know why they don't like separation? But look at our community. Our community is separated.
Yeah.
Right? And we keep going, trying to get the better way of life, trying to get the better schools, trying to have, all of the things in life with Starbucks and all the stuff that we see that we want. And so that's why they really don't understand the concept of doing for self. We really don't, brother. We really don't. And let me tell you why. It's historical. There's always been those who wanted to separate, and there's always been those who wanted to integrate, right? History, when you present those two concepts to our slave master or slave master's children, he's faced what you call a dilemma, right? I got to choose between the lesser of two evils in his eyes. So I'm going to lift up the integrationist. I'm going to get him in the end, but I'm going to lift him up and I'm going to kill or destroy the one that's talking about separation. So you have you have many of our people. We didn't just go into slavery. We weren't some happy slaves. There were over 500 slave revolts.
That's right.
I don't want you talking about that. Why you think that they crippled Haiti? See, every time you look around the world, you're asking yourself, well, I'm looking at Haiti. That was the first black republic in the hemisphere. I don't want to live like that. Look at how they live. Look at Africa. What's happening with Africa? That's because we don't not talk about colonialism. We're not talking about Haiti. Haiti kicked the French's behind up out of here. And they have you ever heard of a country winning a war and having to pay reparations to who they did?
Man, come on.
That's what happened
in Haiti. Absolutely.
And then America invaded Haiti in the early 20th century and literally picked who the president is and all that kind of stuff, man, and been running it. Citibank has been running it and taking all the resources out of there and leaving the people poor. Man, if you knew the history of colonialism when they met in Berlin in 1884, 85, they had the Berlin Conference, right? And they carved up Africa. They carved up Africa not according to where certain tribes and ethnic groups were. They just drew these lines, right? So to this day, there are people who literally are separated. They're in two different countries, but they're the same ethnic or tribal group. And by doing that, what do? You divide and rule. So even though all these countries, these 53 countries, have gotten independence, they're not independent. This is why this Burkina Faso piece is very interesting, because he kicked the French troops out, and now he's taking his own gold and he's starting to create reserves so he can create his own currency, right? And the French, they set up a system where you literally had to put your reserves in a French bank, and they printed your money. It's still slavery. I mean, if you really look at it, brother, so all of these people, and you go and you look up the history of the CIA, they've overthrown so many governments, brother. They interfere. You talk about elections being rigged. These people have gone around the country. Anything that was against America's national interests, right? Their national interests, they would go in and they would destroy it, and they would pick winners and losers, right? And if they didn't like you, they'd help overthrow you. Patrice Lumumba, Gaddafi, right? Sankara of Burkina Faso. All of these
domestically too. Huh?
Yeah, domestically. The COINTELPRO, they just brought that here in COINTELPRO. They went after Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture. They even bragged about how they engineered the split between the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X. They know Malcolm was trying to get back into the nation, and they made sure they intercepted all of that he was trying to do. He was angry. He said some things that was out of pocket, but he knew that if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had called him the day before he gave his last speech, he would have rejoined the Nation of Islam. He knew what he was doing, and all that. We got all the proof for all that. We always been telling y'all that we didn't kill him.
Yeah,
we told you that. You know, we already told you these people was government affiliated, and so now two of the kids. I see Nation of Islam. These two right there, they were Muslim enforcers. And they killed them, and then they was exonerated and got $36 million. Oh, now what you got?
Everybody hush mouth.
Yeah, not everybody. There's some people still with that stuff, because this is the narrative that they put out there, because they knew that by killing Malcolm, what they would do is they're trying to kill two birds with one stone. But it wasn't in our best interest for Malcolm to be killed, because a repentant, returning Malcolm would have been greater for the Nation of Islam than an assassinated, martyred Malcolm.
Come on, man.
He didn't go to Mecca and all of a sudden his eyes opened up. No, he knew there was white Muslims. he knew all of that, man. He knew what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. He knew about his domestic life and all of that. He knew how to defend it. He understood it in scripture, but he was angry. He was angry, man. You took him out of New York. You took him off his platform. You silenced him. And this man, you know, he was the face and mouth of the Nation of Islam. And now you get sat down. So, you know, so that, and Minister Farrakhan has recounted stories where he was sitting in Malcolm's blue Oldsmobile. And he said, Brother Louis, he said, I wish you would be an example for me than me being an example for you. He said, one day my enemies will become your enemies. He ran down all the people that would be against Minister Farrakhan as he eventually became the national representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And how Minister Farrakhan rebuilt the Nation of Islam when he separated from the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Imam Warathin Muhammad. When he stepped away, he didn't go into public. He didn't do no press conference. He just went quiet. He sunk a root down because he learned from the tragedy of his brother Malcolm. You know, Minister Farrakhan has taught us, brother, not to hate Malcolm, but to learn from Brother Malcolm. You don't have to hate Malcolm to love the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I'm telling you all who love Malcolm, you don't have to hate the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to love Malcolm. You don't. Let's study what happened. Minister Farrakhan has rebuilt this Nation of Islam, so here we are, against all odds. We're here, brother. And so I'm here in the spirit of a repentance and atonement to talk to our city and whoever watches this, and to tell them, you know, this is done out of love, not out of hate. And then I'm talking to the streets and the suites that we got to get organized. Get organized to get free. Get organized and get prepared, because I'm telling you, the worst is yet to come. I'm not trying to scare you, because you're the fearless generation. You're the greatest generation we ever produced. You're fearless, man.
We ain't trying to scare you. We're trying to prepare you.
But at the same time, you know, one thing is that there's eternity before you're born and eternity after you die, man. And eternity's a long time.
Hey, flash in the pan.
So preserve and love and honor your life and the life of your family and all. And come by and visit Mosque 45 at 4443 Old Spanish Trail. We meet on Wednesdays at 7:30, and Fridays 7:30 study group, Juma prayer at 1 o'clock on Fridays, and then Sunday at 10 a.m. Come by and hear what we have to say. And then decide for yourself. And again, I'm going to be out there. We're going to be out there talking about this book. Again, we're going to give you the QR code and everything that you need so that you have access to the forms that are in this book. You can get this book at Mosque 45, or you can go on Amazon and get it. It's for sale on Amazon. It's called Weathering the Storm, Disaster Preparedness, How to Survive the Fall of America by Landra Muhammad, Landra, Landra Muhammad. and do that. And, you know, that, and then I will also put a course on the screen so that they will have the course for them to take the course. And so those who are interested, somebody from among your crew got to take me seriously and look out for the rest of the crew, even if they want to mess around and play around. Because this is no time to be playing around. Take me serious. I'm serious, sane, and sober about this piece. But I'm a happy warrior. I love it's out of love that I'm saying this, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to come on this podcast. I look forward to come back again.
Without a doubt,
very
anytime, anytime we can go. You can come back tomorrow. You can come back. We can go in the time machine and you can come back yesterday. It don't matter. It's all good. And everything that Dr. Abdul Haleem is saying, y'all, please take it to heart because again, we gonna walk into it. And the key is we got to make the decision whether we want to walk into it prepared or be caught with our drawers around our ankle. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on how you approach it because now it's all for him.
Yeah.
He done told it, so it's not on him. It's no bird, no blood on his hands when the time comes. We gonna get you out of here on this. This is just something that I want to do real quick. We'd like to do like a speed thing real quick because you answered one when you start talking about Malcolm, general things that people have misconceptions about the nation about. And we can go fast. Do Muslims believe in Jesus?
Yes, we believe in Jesus. You can't be a Muslim unless you believe in Jesus.
Okay. What about what do the Nation of Islam take on reparations?
Reparations. That's you look at the Muslim program. What the Muslim want, what the Muslim believe. You look at point number 4.
Yeah.
Point number 4 talks about us having a separate state of territory. That's reparation.
Yeah, and he touched on separation a little bit earlier. So, I just wanted to throw those out there real quick because those are a lot of the common questions that people get. Last one, why do Muslims in the Nation of Islam tell people to only eat one time a day?
Because the human body, the microcosm of the human body is reflective of the macrocosm of the universe. You have the sun and 9 planets, right? You got a brain and 9 systems in your body, right? And then you have the earth, when it makes its rotation, right? 23 hours, 56 minutes, 46 seconds, man, 24 hours, right? You got about 23 feet of intestines, right? And when you eat one meal a day, you give your body the opportunity, the time to clear out what you already eat. When you keep on putting food on top of food on top of food, that's why we have obesity. That's why we have high blood pressure. That's why we have all of these ailments, cancers and all these ailments, because we're not actually taking care of our bodies properly. So we got to eat the proper food and we have to eat at the proper time. Between 4 and 6 p.m. normally is the best time to eat.
Man, no doubt about it. Well, once again, my brother, always an honor to sit down. I don't care if I'm watching you at the rostrum or chopping it up with you in front of the stove. It's all love, big brother. Dr. Abdul Haleem Muhammad. Did you get your social?
Oh, well,
okay.
It's Haleem Muhammad on Instagram.
Okay.
And of course, you can look at Abdul Haleem Muhammad on Facebook. And I think I'm on Threads now. And it's like a Twitter. Look me up on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. I'm trying to be everywhere.
Yeah,
man, you know.
Those that don't know, this is K Reno's OG.
no doubt about it.
Mentor, and just by being around him, I've been around you so many times.
Yeah,
man, and he does this without no hesitation, and that's only respect to you.
No question.
Respect to you, brother.
No question about it.
I'm thankful to Allah that He blessed you to discover your purpose and work on fulfilling it. What we're making is a record for a generation yet unborn. Did they tell us? Did they try? Did nobody, you know, there's a saying that history will absolve us. So anybody that says, oh, them so-and-sos ain't did nothing, they just rappers and talking all that nonsense, blah, 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 hip-hop ain't this and this, that, and the other, and it's corrupted, this, that. No. The enemy, the culture vultures have corrupted hip-hop. Hip-hop is when I deal with the underground piece, you know, people keep it street, but at the same time, man, there's this thread of consciousness that, as Chuck D says, it's the CNN of the Black community. We reporting the news. We don't need to be inventing the news. So we don't need nobody from out there in the Golden Ghetto out in the suburbs, who the only decision that had to be made is whether they're going to school in their mama's Volvo or their daddy's Mercedes, and then they're gonna get on the mic and pretending they all hard and whatnot. Come on, man, stop it.
Right.
Stop it. That's art imitating life. You know, instead of life imitating art.
And for y'all that don't know, as we close, which I should have said this in the beginning, this the same brother that one of the main songs that a lot of y'all come to me and talk about, y'all heard his voice on Three Gods. Y'all heard his voice on Last Days. And y'all have heard him on countless other songs, not just my Flowers video. Y'all heard him talking on the Flowers video. You know, this is the man. Y'all know him. Even if now you snapping like, oh yeah, that's him. So and it's countless others, you know, in our organization, and some songs that I can't even remember. We recorded his voice and he's come to the lab live and dropped it. So either way it go, man, this is the man that we look up to, and I could say I feel like confidently the city of Houston wouldn't be what it is had this man somehow not been born and did all the work that he's done. You know, if whoever you see that is out here grinding and leading, most of them are from his tree. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's your big brother K Reno.
And it's your boy Keystone.
It's the Underground Dialogue Podcast where the name speaks for itself, and we are out.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Man, it's your big brother K Reno. Look, man, the Underground Dialogue website is back in function. We back in motion, man. If y'all want Underground Dialogue podcast merch, whatever you need, go to undergrounddialogue.com and check us out. And always make sure that every Wednesday night, y'all are checking out the Underground Dialogue podcast right on YouTube, 9 p.m. Central Time. Yeah! What's up, man? It's your big brother K Reno, and check this out, man. The Underground Dialogue Podcast is offering advertising opportunities, man. You can promote your business, you can promote your video, your song, whatever it is that you have, man. Reach out to us if you're interested in promoting on the Underground Dialogue Podcast. All you got to do is email us at undergrounddialoguepodcast@gmail.com. Get it. What up, man? It's your big brother K Reno. I'm proud to announce that I'm a new brand ambassador to this new brand of clothing and shoes called Volas. Y'all make sure that y'all support this. It's already available. Houston-based company, straight out the A's. Look at the quality of the packaging itself. We ain't even got to the shoes yet, man. And this is just one pair of shoes, one design. They got all kinds of dope designs of shoes that you guys can choose from. Go to volas.biz and find your order, find what you want. Wide selection to choose from, male and female items, and I'm proud to be a part of it, man. Community workers, versatile products, Volas, manufactured in Italy. Look at the quality of this box, man. Y'all don't know what it is, man. Catch y'all later on.